Hello, 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 ladies and gentlemen. How are you? Glad you're in for another Drawing Time with Will. Please, before we start anything else, please like, comment, subscribe. I greatly appreciate hearing and seeing all your comments and everything on the videos. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you want to see drawn and different things like that for future videos. I really appreciate it. Ring the notification bell and all that good stuff so that way you can be part of the squad that's aware when I do a new video and upload it. I really appreciate that information and really appreciate being able to contact and get in touch with you guys. So anyway, I wanted to start this off. This is a two-part video. We're going to kind of do a break in the middle and do a little bit of an artist spotlight. So this video is going to start now. I'm going to tell you right now, I will get into spoiler territory and enter the Spiderverse. But when that happens, by the way, guys, have you seen the movie? If you have seen the movie, let me know what you think in the comments. When it gets to spoiler territory, there'll be a brief moment where there'll be something happens to the screen and they'll basically say spoilers coming. So that's your warning at that point. You got a little ways in the video to go for that, but that's beside the point. So just to let you know, I'm not going to spoil anything to that point. I'm going to talk a little bit about, I believe his name is Ben Parker, and he's named it ironically enough after Uncle Ben, but he is the Peter Parker kind of sort of his universe. Their universe is a 1930s universe where he is a kind of a detective, and he has a gun, and he gets bit by a spider and becomes the Spider-Man Noir. That's interesting because there is a brief point in the movie and there's a quote, and I believe it's in the trailer, so I'm not spoiling anything. Fun fact, by the way, Nicolas Cage voiced the character of Spider-Man Noir, so there's a fun fact for you if you're a Nick Cage fan. Anyway, so Nicolas Cage voiced the character. One of the things that's interesting about him is he makes a comment. He says, at one point the wind's blowing and they're in a basement. And of course, they're like, why is the wind blowing? There's no air. It's a basement. And he says, wherever I go, the wind blows. When it blows, it smells like rain. So it's kind of an interesting old kind of heralding back to the old pulp heroes of the 30s. And Spider-Man Noir definitely fits. So I remember playing him in one of the video games, and it was like literally the whole stage. Every time you were in a stage with him, it's black and white. And just like that in the comics, also, all his comics are done in a black and white style. There's very little to no color in them. So I think that's really cool. And if you've seen my art, a lot of times I like to work more in black and whites. But I'm trying to work with more color and work with the markers that I got and different things like that. So I'm trying to expand my horizons and different things. But anyway, one of the coolest things about this character, besides the fact that he kind of runs around in black and white all the time, is he's very much the kind of pulp detective-y type guy who, he gets into a fist fight more so. He's not as quippy as Spider-Man as we know Spider-Man to be. He's definitely more straight-laced. Anyway, here is the artist highlight. This is art with Kinsley and Pop. I hope I pronounced that right, guys. They did a Krampus, or they did an Evil Santa. One of them did an Evil Santa, and the other one did a punk rock Skelebot Santa. So I did my version of those characters. So, anyway, that's the artist spotlight, and I may put more in there as time goes on. Anyway, this is Spider-Man 2099 that I drew a little bit back ago in another video. This is Penny Parker, who is the Spider-Bot version of that. There's Miles. So there's my version of Miles I did for back in October. And there should be another one coming up here in a moment. There is Spider-Gwen. Spider-Gwen from the Inktober as well. And the only one I didn't draw, of course, there's Spider-Ham. Also another Inktober picture. I didn't draw just a regular Spider-Man because I'd done some other Spider-Man pictures before. So I really didn't go in and draw a Spider-Man during Inktober or anything like that, because I'd already drawn several pictures of Spider-Man. I did one, I believe, in the black suit, one in the regular suit. And so I didn't do a old man Parker from the Enter the Spider-Verse, which, by the way, they did confirm that is a Spider-Man that if you've watched the old Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies as well as the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movies, they kind of merged those Spider-Man into this version that we get in the movie. The one that you've seen a lot of in the trailers. He is an older Spider-Man. He's been around for a while. And so They even make reference to like the Tobey Maguire little dance moment from from Spider-Man 3. They make reference to Spider-Man 2 when he's trying to save the train. And again, it's all stuff in the trailers. I'm not spoiling anything here. I'm just talking about stuff that you hopefully have already seen if you've watched trailers. If you're like, well, I never watched the trailers. Sorry. Anyway, one of the other cool things about Spider-Man Noir, besides him being a detective in a gumshoe, is his look. Sometimes you'll see him in a hat, different things like that. Do you have a favorite character that's a character in the Into the Spider-Verse movie? If you do, put that down in the comments below as well. So we have, this guy who, is a detective type character. So he's definitely different in his approach. But I love the trench coat. I like I said, just the blacks and whites and grays. He's very neutral, but it helps him hide in the dark really well because he doesn't have to work. He can literally blend into the shadows of his outfit. So, he doesn't have some of the tech that Peter has, but he definitely, or Miles. We'll get to that later. But he definitely holds his own in the world he's in. And I mean, he has his own version of the villains some of the villains we know, and then of course he has villains that we don't have in the other realities because, with him being a 30s guy, there are a lot of characters that are kind of more weaned toward that era. And so you get like villains like Hammerhead and stuff like that that are in there more. So just a little bit more information about him. I also love his goggles. I think his goggles are the coolest part of his outfit because, again, his outfit seems very put together, in a situation of necessity. And spoiler time. Okay, so I'm going to get into this movie now. So we have a story that really begins with a different Spider-Man than the one you've seen in the trailers because Chris Pine actually voices the Spider-Man that is part of Miles' universe. So if you haven't seen the movie yet, I want you to kind of understand that the first Spider-Man you see, you haven't seen in the trailers. So if we'll go from there. So there's a point the Kingpin's fighting, Miles goes down and he's tagging under a bridge, a place where his uncle shows him, his Uncle Aaron, who it's funny in and of itself. I'll get into that later. His dad's a cop, his mother's a nurse. It's the first, if I'm not mistaken, historically speaking, he is the first African-American Latino mixed comic book character. And so his mother's Hispanic, his father's black, and they are, in this movie representing the jobs that they do. Well, as time goes on, he has an uncle that's kind of the cool uncle that lets him kind of do things his own way. And so his uncle takes him down to do some tagging. Those of you who may not know what tagging is, has to do with graffiti painting. And during that, he ends up getting bit by the spider that begins to turn him into Spider-Man. But then he ends up meeting his version of Spider-Man in a fight, and then the Kingpin kills him. So the Kingpin in his universe kills the Spider-Man of their universe. And so of course, all of a sudden, they set the collider off that is in the middle of the thing. It ends up bringing another version of Peter Parker from a different reality. It ends up bringing Gwen Stacy, who becomes Spider-Gwen, ends up bringing in Spider-Man Noir and Spider-Ham and Penny Parker all together in Miles' reality. So the first part of the movie that I find really interesting is that, and I'm not trying to run the whole movie down, so there's going to be stuff I'm not going to spoil. You still want to go see this movie. This movie, first of all, it's beautiful. The movie is beautiful. It's just a beautifully animated film. It looks great. It sounds wonderful. The soundtrack's really neat. It gives you a little feel for a lot of music is Brooklyn based. So you have stuff like B.I.G. and other music. That in and of itself becomes a character. There's a point during the course of the movie, each time they do this funny thing with the introduction of Spider-Man where each version introduces themselves. And so then there's a comic that gets thrown down. Well, when Miles starts becoming Spider-Man, there's a really interesting point where he's like, I gotta shut this thing down so I can get y'all back to where y'all belong. Because the thing about the Collider is bringing them to this reality, their bodies can't maintain being there. And so as time goes on, they'll glitch. And so there's points during the course of the thing where they literally glitch in and out of existence for brief times. And so as the longer they stay away from their own world, it gets worse. So Miles is like, well, I'll help you out, and different things like that will help get you there. Well, of course, Miles hasn't really trained. He doesn't really know what it's like. As a matter of fact, he ends up getting in one of the greatest Stan Lee cameos ever, guys. He goes to get a Spider-Man costume because they're doing the funeral for the Spider-Man in his reality. And so, of course, everybody's going out and buying these costumes. And so Stan is playing a guy who's literally just named Stan. And he goes into the store and he's all like, hey, I want to buy one of these costumes. And Stan's like, you know, we're friends, he and I. And then Miles looks at him and he says, well, hey, what if this doesn't fit? Can I bring it back? He's like, it never fits at first, but it always ends up fitting when it's time. It always eventually fits. And so it's interesting because he's talking about kind of this idea that the role of Spider-Man fits. And that's the thesis of the movie, is that anyone can be the hero. Spider-Man is not just about Peter Parker, it's about anybody. Anybody can stand up for what's right. Anybody can stand when life knocks them down. Anybody can be the hero if they choose to be, if they want to be. And so I think that's a message that a lot of kids can see and get. That's one of the things I loved about the movie. So as time goes on, to make a real long story short, Kingpin's basic goal is that because his wife and his child end up catching him doing some criminal activity, they leave. So he's looking in alternate realities, trying to figure out a way to find another reality where they're in it so he can jerk them out of that reality and bring them to this one. But of course, he's tearing up the whole world around him doing it. There's a point where you find out that Kingpin has a character with him named the Prowler. The Prowler is like this mercenary who's merciless, and nothing stops him from getting his prey. And so there's a point wherever Miles is out, he's end up getting chased down by this guy, by the Prowler. And then later on, fast forwarding a lot, big reveal, he finds out that the Prowler is actually his uncle. And so now he's got this dynamic where he's trying to figure out, what to do, because now he realizes his uncle is there. He's at this really special school because of the fact that his parents are trying to do everything they can to pay for it, because they know he's got this ability. He's got these. He's really smart. He's really intelligent. Handles himself well, but they want to be able to help him harness those abilities. So I'm gonna leave it there. 2 reasons. One, because I don't want to spoil every single part of this movie, but then 2, I want you guys to go watch it. So I hope y'all enjoyed this video. I hope you really appreciated it. I thank you so much for rocking with me on this. This is the first official video of 2019, and I trust me when I tell you we're gonna do more as time goes on. So I thank you, and above all else, guys, as I always try to advise you every video, every time, and I really hope you'll follow me on this one. Please, guys, above all else, be blessed and be a blessing to somebody. Till next time, guys, take care. I love you. Nothing you can do about it. Take care.